So, Mark, first of all, I want to thank you for including and inviting me to come in on, I guess we'll call it the tail end, but I still feel like it's a big part of the beginning based on all the work that you've done for ALS research in not just Canada, but I think internationally speaking as well. So, why don't we begin with, I would call it a very successful weekend, right? You had your virtual walk on Sunday that raised approximately what $1.5 million for ALS Canada. Your work has been tireless. I've been sitting on the sidelines. I've got the easy job. I'm often in front of the camera, but you've worked tirelessly in promotion of the virtual walk, which so many Canadians participated in. Yet here we are as we record this on Monday at noon, and your spirit doesn't feel like it can be much higher than what it is right now. How do you maintain this level of positivity and just this endless vat of wanting to do more for ALS research?
It probably goes back, Dregs, to 2018 when I was diagnosed. Like 2015, I had my symptoms. And then 3 years of testing, they finally determined what it was. But I think in 2018, when I was told this is what I have, obviously it was a blow, to have your life change so drastically. My wife and I were absolutely stunned, even though in the back of our heads we thought maybe that's what it was. But that night I had a choice. I looked at myself in the mirror and said, well, you can, this is the card I've been dealt, so I can either go in a corner and cry and be depressed, or stand up and face it head on and tell all my friends and what have you not to treat me any different. I don't want to be treated different. If someone comes up and feels sorry and it's a pity thing, I will stop them very quickly and say, look, I am no different, and I'll chirp them. I don't care, and I want to be chirped back, and I don't. So I made that decision back in 2018, and for my family too, because if I'm down and depressed, they are, right? So if I'm upbeat, they're upbeat. So I think that was part of it. And then it took me quite a while. It took me about a year and a half to realize that, hey, I can come out with this. It's not going to hurt my business in real estate. And you know what? It hasn't one bit. Our numbers are actually equal or a little bit above. So it just goes to show you what people are all about, right?
Yeah, no question about that. Good people across this great country. So you've made it clear this isn't about you, but are you okay with the reality that you are an inspiration? Your story is inspirational. I think of Chris Snow. I think of Kelsey Snow in Calgary. I think of all the great people that continue to do what you do, and aren't looking for anything more than the rest of the world to just start paying attention. Donate a few bucks, do what you can do financially to aid in the process of further developing the research platforms that are necessary to try and get to ALS. So from an inspirational standpoint, are you okay with being in the spotlight?
Yeah, I wasn't in the beginning, but then I just kind of grew into it, and I'm used to it now. And the support that I've received, especially in the former NHL sports media, has been absolutely overwhelming. It really has. And even if you hadn't met somebody in the media or in a former NHL or whatever, whenever you talk, it's like you've known each other for years. It's bizarre how the sports world works. But this month of June, I realized that being part of a patient-led advocate group called ALS Action, I'm a member there, and I'm a member of ALS Canada, but the Action group really hit me because I talk to these guys every week, and I see them, and some can't talk, and everybody's at different stages, but they all have huge hearts of lions. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use my platform as best I can this month of June and come out with something. And so, think about this for a second. This June Awareness Month is our big opportunity to create awareness for what I call the forgotten illness. Because, if for the longest time, like, people don't even know what ALS is. Yeah. Like, Dregs, when I got this, I didn't even know what it was. Like I remember as a kid watching Lou Gehrig getting wheeled out to, or seeing video of Lou Gehrig getting wheeled out to Yankee Stadium and listening to his speech, but I didn't know the difference between ALS and MS. And so the month of June was an opportunity for us to break down some barriers in funding ALS, energize the government, get them going, get some awareness going, because at the end of the day, the average lifeline is 2 to 5 years with this thing. And now some make it 10 plus. And between you and I like that category better. So I'm going for that. But, getting into the Lou Gehrig Day, I think, honestly, it's probably the biggest day ever for ALS because it puts us on the map. MLB put us on the map. And it's the greatest opportunity for the ALS community in the last 80 years to tell our story across Canada and have it resonate and have people rally to our cause. And I'm hoping that because of the success of Lou Gehrig Day, that the NFL takes a look at it, because I made a list and it took me an hour and a half. I had 75 former athletes just in that hour and a half. And you know what? 40 of them were NFL guys. Yeah. So maybe it's time they looked and had a Sunday for Lou Gehrig Day. And that's what I'm hoping would be the next step as far as leagues recognizing this.
All right. Well, look, I think you're a pretty humble guy. And I don't think that you're motivated by pride. But I am again going to shine the spotlight on you because of this incredible initiative. And, every day I'd look at social media, I'd look at Twitter, and there'd be another video, a new video. And not just the hockey community, but the sports community in general really embrace this initiative. And that's, Mark, that's mostly because of you, right? Because you being the driving influence, the force, the voice to bring all of these great people together.
Yeah, when I started out, I'm just trying to think who the first one was me. And then I'm trying to think of I think it was Wendell. And within like 10 minutes, I had his video. Oh, yeah. And then I thought, you know what, this has got some life. So then I made a long list and boy, I had all the Leaf captains, and then Don Cherry and Ron McLean and John Shannon and Steve Simmons. It just went on and on and on. Yeah. And a lot of them were guys I kind of knew years ago too, right? But it did take a life on its own. And I will tell you that just judging by the views, which I could see on the Twitter. Oh, and Drags, I must tell you, I didn't even know what Twitter was. And so my daughter, who's 16, Sarah, came down and got frustrated with me, but eventually, showed me how to use it and stuff. And I made some mistakes with it, but it was pretty good. So once I got these out, it had the number of views in the lower left corner of each one of these things. And so I thought to myself, what would be funny is if I got them all one of these shirts, help Kurt's End ALS, and put the number of views on the back of each one and send them out to them, and rank them. But then it was pretty interesting how they came back, and I could ride them all because mine had 50,000 and the closest one to me was 25. So, but you know what, you're right on. It was such an ALS awareness. And then when Ron showed that shirt in Hockey Night in Canada at overtime, that really 4.7 viewers, that really set it off. So yeah, it took a life of its own, but I couldn't have done it without the sports world having my back, right?
I'm going to ask you a hockey question here, a playoff question in just a moment to wrap up. But before we do that, just a reminder that the donation page on ALS Canada's website is still open. It doesn't end with the virtual walk and the initiative that just wrapped up on the weekend. So tell us what's next. I mean, the wheels are always turning in there, Mark. I know that. So what's coming next? What should we be thinking about and looking for, and what can we support?
Well, I think we've really reached our goal as far as ALS awareness goes in June with Lou Gehrig Day and the walk and the Twitter campaign and all that. So at least everybody's kind of aware of what it is now. And I think that what we have to be careful about is one of the reasons why there hasn't been a cure for this or it has been the forgotten illness is because the fearless leaders, Dregs, they like if the average is 2 to 5 years, they build huge momentum, like the ice bucket guys, right?
Yeah.
The ice bucket challenge guys, and then they die, right? And then it fades. You see, so people die off, and then there's constant restarts. And so we can't let that happen. We've got to keep the momentum going. And I think the next step is we've got the awareness, and the number 2 ask is to create faster pathways so that a drug doesn't take 2 years to get through FDA, Health Canada, provincial, and into us, because we don't have that timeline. We need a faster process. So I think I'd like to put the government on notice that the next plan is to, if I have to go after every MP and MPP with a stitched long video of everybody and my note and story and whatever, and crawl up their steps to get their attention, I'll do it. But I think the government is the next one to go after, and we need people to get loud, Dregs. We need them to get loud to help us. I don't want to be the forgotten illness anymore.
Well, let's put it on notice right here publicly that all government officials, all politicians, all of our provincial, federal government leaders are now on notice. And it's not just you, Mark. It's everyone has to get behind this. All right, hockey related. You played for the Leafs. You played for the Vancouver Canucks. You played for the Detroit Red Wings. Is it possible for Mark Curtin to be a Montreal Canadiens fan at this point?
I'll tell you, I would have said no. I would have said no. And it's funny, I was on the Bobcat podcast, and you know what? I expected they were going to talk about ALS right off the get-go. And of course, it was a day after the Leafs lost. Yeah. So it was half an hour of, McCowan says, well, you played, you look at it from a player point of view, what happened? And it was easy answer for me, because I said, hey, when they didn't win game 5 and 6 and they wanted to roll the dice against Carey Price, that's the problem. They had to win 5 or 6. And then there was some other reasons, in my own opinion. But to say is, I would have said no, but I like Luke Richardson. Yeah. He's a former Peterborough Pete, and you know what the Pete's Mafia are like. Yep. And when seeing Luke behind the bench, we were all texting each other, Ozzy and Gartner and I, and we were laughing about it, saying, oh, come on, Luke, you got to do it. You got to do it. So I just turned into a Habs fan only until their coach gets back. And then I'm switching again. But you know what? They play a style. When they get the lead, they collapse in their own end in the slot. And I'm going to tell you, Dregs, you try putting a puck through 15 pairs of legs and through the goalie, Carey Price. It's tough to do. And that's how they beat the Leafs too. They get a lead and boy, it's tough. It's tough sledding when you're behind. It really is.
Paul Maurice talked about that, Kurtz, going into the playoffs, how he watched the Montreal Canadiens and their team defense and how well they could execute it. And if they got the lead, look out. And we've seen that, right? They
have 4 horses back there, and that are getting tired now, though. But, I remember coaching rep hockey. That's what I did. But we had a lead, and these kids were 10, 12 years old. We collapsed into the slot.
You're one of those guys.
Yeah, it's no different. Well, hey, look at when you played for Roger Nielsen, do I need to tell you that defense is first, right?
It's always first, yeah.
I bugged Roger. He drove me crazy, or I drove him crazy for years, because I'd get 70, 80 points in the American League and come up and he wants to make me a checker. I mean, you just got that defense thing coming out of Peterborough all the time. Eiserman was the only guy that didn't. But anyways, all good stuff.
All good stuff. Well, listen, Kurtz, proud to be a member of your team, and anything we can do to continue to support ALS research, ALS Canada, you know that we're going to do that. You're a great advocate for ALS and the continued push. So I know you're not going away anytime soon. So as long as we as a greater community can continue to support and help you, then we're going to do that. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you're a good man, Dregs, and thanks for wrapping up this campaign in June. And like you said, there's still time to donate and all that stuff. But let's just try and keep this ALS illness in the forefront. But thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.